everyone. How are you? I hope you can all hear me. Hello, Miss Anne Bradley. How are you, gorgeous girl?
Evening, guys.
Hi, Justine. Hi, Ali. Oh, you are all so early. Hey, Viv. Hey, Lynn. Hey, Nesh. Wow. I'm on my phone, so hopefully we've got better reception this time. My dog's going to start barking now because he wants to come in. I'll have to yell at him. Okie dokie. Maria should be on very shortly. I'm just getting my... Actually, I probably don't need headphones. Can you hear me okay, girls? Oh, Miss Maria is in the house already anyway.
So good to see you.
There she is.
Just go home.
Is it clear enough?
Yeah, beautiful. Can you see me well?
Yes, I can see you. You got home from work okay?
Yeah, just go home. So perfect. I'll have dinner. So
Tonight, can you record?
Yes, I'll record it, and I'm just going to... Can I please ask everyone to mute themselves if possible?
Where do I
that would be fantastic. That would be lovely.
We're doing it compliant, correct? Because after a lot of problems, we don't want to get in problem, correct?
Yeah. But you can discuss those things we're talking about, yeah?
I'll talk to you medically, my area, but I won't give you treatment because the treatment is non-compliant.
Yes, no, that would be perfect. The girls, especially on those, with the staph, the eczemas and the psoriasis, just the causes, you know what I mean? Like what to watch out for.
You can ask me questions after. That's fine.
Girls, so you're right to ask questions. If you've got some, please just put them in as well. 3 minutes and we will get started. Look at me. I look like a big bear today.
Look at me. I'm looking at my hair. Looks like I come from the war. Yeah, but it's good.
Hey, I'm wearing Carlo's jumper. This is his work one.
I was trying to see what you were.
Yeah, don't worry. I don't even know what I'm wearing. And the dog's down here going, I'm missing out, Mum.
What you got little puppies, didn't you?
Yes, we got 3 little puppies. I don't have them. They're at the girls' house. Oh. And how gorgeous is this? So we've got a whole heap of different people on from all around Australia in our team, which is fantastic, Maria. So cool. I might just get you all to mute yourselves if you can. That would be fantastic. I just don't know if I can mute everyone.
Yeah, he doesn't have much.
Look, you can go into mute. If you go in the bottom bar, when you put chat box at the bottom, it says mute.
I can only mute myself.
I'm trying to get the biggest one, like 18 to 20.
No, that's okay. I've muted you all. And I'm just unmuting Maria. Perfect.
Well done. Good job.
Okay, so we might start. It is 7:30. Welcome everyone. Tonight we're going to talk about skin conditions. And one of the reasons is being a beauty therapist myself, I get asked every day about different skin conditions. And tonight I wanted to invite my very good friend and fellow colleague, beautiful Maria Aurora, who is a naturopath. And so tonight she's going to just enlighten us about how some of these things happen and the causes of them. We can't talk treatments or diagnose or anything like that, but maybe this will enlighten you to find out, instead of just the band-aiding of what's happening out there, where they're coming from and how they're starting. So at the end of it, I'm going to allow you guys to pop your hand up and ask her a question. Please try and keep it compliant because we want to keep this recording, so that you can share it. So I'd like to introduce you to a beautiful friend and colleague, Maria Aurora. She actually runs a clinic here in Perth, and it's called Aurora Healing Code. So please, if you need anything down that field line, we truly recommend for you to go see her. She's looked after so many of our friends already, and I know there's many more out there. But Maria has an advanced diploma in naturopathy as well as a diploma in biochemical therapy. So she's a wealth of knowledge, and I just adore her. So welcome, Miss Maria, and thank you for being on.
I love you, Dana, and everyone here. So let's get started. So when we talk about skin, we talk skin in and out, and we talk about skin in, we talk about inflammatory conditions as well. So what are the inflammatory conditions? They are all sort of things that make your body react, and you see them as red, hot, itchy, burning, swollen, crusty, and etc. So presentations that create discomfort, presentations that can create all sort of issues, and they can be diagnosed as different names. So because I'm not going to talk treatments, I'm going to concentrate on the conditions. I'm going to give you names, and I'm going to describe you what is happening behind each one of them. So most skin conditions, they have a genetic tendency or a genetic trigger that we call, and I will explain triggers in a minute. But what tends to happen, those triggers, if they are active, they are going to develop their particular genetic predisposed condition. So let's talk about triggers first, and then we talk about the conditions. When we talk about primary triggers and secondary triggers. Primary triggers, they are things that they activate conditions, and they are things that when you have something popping up, even if it's reoccurring, and that they haven't been active for a while, is telling you that your primary trigger is active. And when things that they are already there, and they start burning more, so they start getting bigger and worse, aggravated that we call them, means that the secondary triggers are active. So this is very important, because when we create a change, for example, on the diet, or we create a change on what we are drinking, or in certain life habits, most people say that I have done it before and I didn't clear anything. So I do run a skin clinic, and one of the things I tell to my skin patient, that's only part of your secondary triggers. You haven't touched your primary trigger, hence you're not going to get rid of the condition. You will minimize the presentation looking at that, but you won't treat it. So when we talk about treatments in inflammatory conditions, we talk about putting things into remission, but knowing that if the trigger gets active again, you will have a subsequent presentation, meaning you can't get rid of it forever because it's genetic. And so the maximum you can do, put it to sleep, and might be triggered off again. All right, that is very important for you to understand. So let's give names of certain conditions, and let's talk about the triggers, because that's the important part. So when we talk about the triggering system, we're also going to look at blood types. So we got blood type O, AB, and AB. And according to the blood type, there could be different triggers as well. For example, blood type O gets very triggered by stress. And when we talk about stress, we talk about the adrenals, and we talk about the thyroid, and we talk about consequently all the problems that happen with that, with the hormones, sex hormones, inclusive of estrogens and progesterone and testosterone. So one of the things that happen when your progesterone, for example, is out of balance, you get perioral acne. Or other things that happen when your estrogen is too low, good estrogen, the estradiol, not the estrone, it means that you can have a tendency for eczemas. But eczemas as well can be triggered by external things. So this we're going to talk about different. So let's go into a very well-known condition that is very nasty one to see, and it's got many faces, and people don't normally realize it's the same condition, and it's called psoriasis. So there's 9 types of psoriasis that are very well known. And so we go flexural psoriasis, and psoriasis, and plaque psoriasis, and scalp psoriasis, and feet and palmar psoriasis, and we got nail psoriasis, and erythrodermic psoriasis, and postural psoriasis, and so many psoriasis. So what happens is that each one of them will have a slightly different presentation, but it's the same thing. And one big problem there, for example, if you go to a person who doesn't understand, and this is what I see the most, is that people come with nail psoriasis and think it's a fungal nail. And that is one of the biggest problems out there. Most people that think they got fungal nails is actually nail psoriasis. So how do you know? Because the fungal nail will tend to get very yellow, opaque, but that's it. But when it's psoriasis, it will tend to have, you will see, I don't know if I can show you. I don't have nail psoriasis, but I will try to show you. So part of the nail, it starts growing like bits and bits and bits and bits, and it's almost like it starts lifting out from the bed nail. So from the base. And in that case, it's normally psoriasis. And at times it can have a crusty layer, a hyperkeratotic layer underneath that raises the nail. So that is very much nail psoriasis. Sometimes you have the ridges as well. So to treat nail psoriasis, you do have to treat the hormones. There's no other treatment. Okay. Another big problem out there is flexural psoriasis, that most people think it is a yeast infection because come on the flexes. And the flexes are the mammary gland area, axilla, and groin, and hence called the Jog's hitch or something like that. You call it in normal terms, but what happens is not really a candida or a yeast, is a psoriasis. The only difference, the psoriasis in that area doesn't manifest with the crusty hyperkeratotic presentation that you have in exposed areas, because that area is an area of friction, so the plaque never really accumulates. And as a consequence appears thin, red, and shiny. And hence why people mistaking it by something else. So if people put antifungals, can temporarily relieve the condition, because antifungal condition ointments do tend to have an anti-inflammatory effect. And of course, when you put something that is red, an anti-inflammatory topical, you will reduce it, but it will never get rid of it. The moment you stop the ointment, will come back because it's not a fungal condition. And that's the way you know. Okay, what else? So how do we treat it? You look at hormones again. What else do we have there? So we need to look at postular conditions in the skin, like postural psoriasis and postural conflicts. That is another condition. And there's postular psoriasis, you do need to look at the immune system in there. Another condition that you look at the immune system is called Gauthey psoriasis, and Gauthey psoriasis is also called raindrop psoriasis. So you see like little drops that develop in between 24 to 48 hours, the whole body is covered. And that psoriasis is quite nasty to treat because it doesn't crust, doesn't itch, but it just spreads quickly and stays. It's not like a normal crusty psoriasis, hyperkeratotic psoriasis or plaque psoriasis that we call it, that tends to stay, you treat and goes within 2 weeks of treatment. So for the Gauthey psoriasis, you need to definitely look at a throat infection. It normally comes with a silent throat infection, staph or streptococcus, staphylococcus, and as a consequence, the toxin is what interacts with your cells and creates this response. So you must need to look at treatment for the immune system. What do we use to get the redness and support the temporary relief of the aggravation? That is what people panic, because people don't realize that they're not going to just get rid of them just like that. You can do a natural antihistamine based on quercetin. So quercetin is a natural anti-inflammatory, and any product with quercetin can help. And of course, anything that can have also MSM can help, and things that can have omega-3s can help. All right, so then we need to look at the typical scalp psoriasis that many people think is dandruff. So dandruff is not really a dandruff, it's a scalp psoriasis. That can go into many levels. So for that, again, you need to look at the adrenal glands and the hormones. Okay, so when we talk about adrenal glands and hormones, that's what we call the primary trigger. That's what goes into forming high cortisol as a response of stress. Then you create high level of estrogen 1. When estrogen 1 is high, it triggers or wakes up all the genetic predisposed conditions. In this case, it could be a psoriasis, or could be a granuloma annularis. That is very similar to psoriasis, except that the center is quite clean, doesn't have the crusty center. And you can have something also like what are other conditions that are very similar? I treat someone today, scleroderma. So scleroderma is another condition like that. So they're all very similar, and they're all triggered by this excessive cortisol production and estrogen 1. So looking at hormones is very important, and supporting the adrenals. Okay, but when the condition starts, it's going to aggravate depending on what you're doing and eating. And this is for every single kind of skin conditions. And this is what we call the secondary triggers. So things that aggravate skin conditions are things that they are too acid, things that they're too high in histamines, and things that they will impair your liver. So things that they're very acid, we always talk, everybody who follows me knows no coffee, no sodas, no bubbles, no fruit juices, no alcohol. At least temporary until the condition goes into remission, and then moderation. Then when we talk about, of course, and sugars in there as well. When we talk about liver, we talk about a keto diet, because a lot of problem with keto diet, I just saw a patient again today, has been on keto diet, and her cholesterol level is gone from 4 point something to 6.3. Terrible. That's creating fatty liver. So watch out, people in keto diet, please, please, please don't abuse dairy. Dairy products has got a huge impact on your livers, and that will stagnate not only weight, but it will have other problems on your arteries and will have further problems in your skin. All right, why? Because the liver is the filter for every toxin and supports the fat metabolism and your own homotoxins breakdown. And you're going to learn about that this Saturday when I talk about this a little bit more with the gut. But what happens is that when the liver is not working correctly, those toxins are going to go where? In this cellular space, extracellular space called the matrix. And if the body is not draining these toxins correctly, the skin becomes an organ of elimination. Hence, your skin will flare up. So liver is extremely important, and you need to be watching out, of course, petrochemicals, the fats that the high saturated fats and trans fats that you're using, and of course alcohols, because of course they destroy the hepatocytes. Okay, and then we look at the histaminic things. So things high in histamines are going to make the condition more red, more itchy, more burning, more swelling. So conditions like that they get really affected by histamines, are more like dermatitis, eczemas kind of presentation. And we have got a very itchy condition called prurigo nodularis, that is like the skin develops really little knots, very little pores, like little seeds under the skin, and they're all over, and they're extremely itchy. So those three conditions, if you have anything to do with histamines, you're going to definitely feel the pinch and make them worse. And you're going to scratch and scratch until you bleed, and you can create possible infections. So things high in histamines are chocolate, salty products, products with vinegar, wines, and then we have got strawberries, kiwis, mangoes, tomatoes, pineapples, and capsicums, chilies, and soy products. So those are the worst, yeah? So being aware of those products is super important, because otherwise you're going to make the body have a high level of histamines and your body won't cope. All right, so that's in terms of the secondary triggers, yeah? They're the things that will keep the condition going worse. What happens that to restore the balance of your skin, you do need to have a very good mineral supplement, because when the skin is broken, it needs more magnesium and calcium to be restored, and silica, and also zinc. So that's really, really important. And when the condition has been going for a long period of time and you're under severe stress, you need to have a good vitamin B support as well. Do not use vitamin C for skin conditions, please, because we'll flare you up. That's a big mistake out there. All right, what else? When we treat conditions like Pomflex is a condition that is another type of dermatitis called dihydrotic dermatitis, and have a phase 1 and 2, a dry phase and a wet phase. So the first part is the wet phase, or stage 1, that makes little balls under the skin, mainly on the hands and feet. It can be either or. and becomes very, very itchy, and they come normally interdigital, in between the space of the fingers. And what will happen that once they burst, they become really, the skin becomes dry and cracked and can fissure open and becomes very painful. So that condition is not a response of a metal or, you know, like an allergy to a metal or pollen or a flower, nothing like that. It's only to do with the liver and the immune system. So you need to look at those two things. Conditions like eczema, dermatitis, and conflicts, you have to be very careful of what topical things do you put, because most things are going to aggravate them. The immune system, remember when I did the you haven't heard yet, sorry. I did a presentation for Bloom and I talk about the skin. And so there's in the 4 layers of the skin there, there's an immune cell as well. And those immune cells, they tend to react very quickly to anything that you put topically. So if you're going to put something topical into something that is already red, burning, and itchy, the chances are the immune cells there are not going to like it. So be careful. Zinc normally helps. Okay, topical zinc, I mean. Okay, then what else do we have? We have, I'm just trying to think about the most common conditions, because there's some conditions I can tell you, ichthyosis, that you will never see. Probably I will see them in the clinic, but not you. So that for you will be too crazy. Let me think. Of course, acne. We were talking about acne before. So when we look at acne and rosacea, they're 2 hormonal conditions, nothing to do with gut. That is misinformation. And I get very annoyed every time that people do presentations on the gut and they said that the gut is the source for everything. Like we have recently someone talking about that in a big convention. And I didn't want to argue with that person because it's very well known. But to tell you the truth, the gut in that case is nothing more than the secondary trigger. It's not the primary trigger. The primary trigger for acne and rosacea are hormones. And unless that you do a saliva test and measure your hormones, you probably are never going to get rid of it. Okay, that is the key. Most of the time, progesterone is very low for the acne. And of course, you have to support thyroid in that case. And in cases of rosacea, could be both estrogen low and progesterone low. What else do we have? I'm just trying to think. Autoimmune conditions, they tend to be fed by the gut. So definitely there's a component there that you need to calm inflammation. But remember, the gut is the secondary trigger. It's not your primary trigger. All right? So having parasites in there activating the immune response and creating autoimmunity can be detrimental for eczema and dermatitis. Yeah, that can be a big problem. And sometimes I found very often in kids, they get red patches everywhere as a consequence of parasites. Because of course, the lymphatic drainage gets blocked and the skin becomes an organ of detoxing. So deworming is very, very important. And let me think if there's anything else very, I think I cover most things. Yeah, infections. So sometimes we got primary triggers. They're not just due to immune or due to adrenal, so stress, but sometimes we got something to do with external factors. Like for example, sometimes we got little midgets that crawl all over and that creates a condition and you just need to treat the problem, the parasite in there. Or sometimes we have got, for example, infections, impetigo that we call it, or school sores. So in this case, you need to treat the strep or the staphylococcus. Most of the time it's streptococcus. So you need to treat the infection. If we have a virus, for example, herpetic presentation, we can have that as well. We need to treat the virus. If you do not do that, then you are going to have an ongoing problem because those things spread very, very quickly. So I had a patient recently who was on day 1 of shingles. Shingle is caused by a virus. And it had it right here on the chest. And I was very kind to her. I made so far. I put a couple of drops of a couple of things that they're very good antivirals, and of course they burn really badly, but it killed the staph in 2 days, it was gone. Okay, so there's a lot of things you can do that can work very quickly and fast. And of course, we all know that supporting the body with raindrop techniques can help tremendously for things like this. All right, infections, you need to be more cautious because there's a kind of infections that can cause like a big pool, yeah, it's called cellulite, or pass internally and start growing a bit like a volcano. So this stuff keeps growing and brewing internally, and you only see the top white, but internally it's massive. It's like this big volcano ready to explode if you squeeze it, you know, and that's very dangerous because not only is contagious, but means it's like almost an internal production of this, and you definitely need to have a practitioner looking at that. Don't try to treat that yourself because you won't be able to. Normally it needs drainage done by a nurse or hospital, and then you need to do either natural or normal antibiotics. Okay.
Maria, can I ask boils?
Yeah. So
boils and staphs.
Boils and what?
Staph infection.
Staph.
Are they linked?
I just discussed impetigo staph as well. So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Huh? So
yeah. But are boils? Yeah, sorry.
No, you need to support the immune system in that case. Yeah.
Yeah. Are boils and staphs connected? Are they the same?
No.
No.
So when we talk about staph infection, it's normally staph or strep infections. They are white in nature, and they're like little pus everywhere, and they are very difficult to get rid of. So you need to put something topical that must be topical, and you must repeat the topical treatment every couple of hours. And you need to do orally as well. Okay, in terms of boils, it's completely different. Boils are genetic, unfortunately. Okay. And to treat the boils, we have got a couple of different presentations. One is hydrostasis, that is the sweating glands, they're getting inflamed. And for that, you need to start looking at draining the lymphatic system and working on the liver. Yeah. The origin is not that's just a secondary triggers, but you need to work on those areas. Otherwise, you're going to have no results. It's also triggered by hormones due to the stress. Okay. And in case of normal little boils that comes like that, it could be a outside trigger, external trigger, like an allergy to something. And in that case, you just need to let it go by itself and get absorbed. You can do a few topical things to help absorption of that. But you always, in that case, need to go back to look at the immune system and the stress, the adrenals. There's a very well-known condition that is almost impossible to treat. It's called vitiligo or vitiligo, some people pronounce. And that's when the skin starts becoming white in big patches, and it's a huge contrast with your natural skin color, even if you could be white or pale, and as a consequence, you need to look deeper. Only 20% of cases can be treated, and out of those 20%, only 20% respond well to treatment. The rest, normally you can stagnate it, but doesn't revert. So it's a condition that is quite severe, quite drastic, unfortunately. Yeah.
Maria, can I just ask quickly, that condition that you're just talking about, the white skin patches, my girlfriend was saying that her husband, who his skin is starting to go white patches, would that be that same condition?
It's very possible, that's right. There's a kind of fungal condition that the skin goes white as well. So actually there's more. There's a condition called pityriasis alba and pityriasis versicolor. And pityriasis is like, you get the whole kind of back and front gets like white bits all over. And one of them is caused by a fungal, that is the pityriasis versicolor, and you treat with antifungal creams or lotions. Could be natural or not, and you need to treat internally the pH. And there's another one, the versicolor, the alba, so pityriasis alba, that is whitening, but that's come from stress. Primary trigger is not a fungal condition, it's a stress response. Yeah, and there's another whitening patches that tend to be a little bit more flaky and red, that is tinea, tinea corporis. And tinea tends to be a fungal condition that is normally caught in swimming pools and with pets and things like that. And you need to, again, alkalize your body. Normally the person gets them because the body is too acidic. And you need to use, again, antifungal topicals.
Yeah, he's got he's got dark skin. So it's almost like a bit of that.
If it's very white, then definitely, probably I would say could be vitiligo, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because the other ones, they're not super white contrast. The other ones are just a little fading part. Something else that can give you fading patches all over the face, especially, is worms. Yeah, so when people have white patches all over, that's worms.
I should ask her. She did give me a name for it, but I couldn't remember what it was, to be honest. I'll have to ask her.
Anyone else have got questions? I think we covered a lot of the skin conditions. So if you have questions, just ask me.
My actually another one is my son has pityriasis lichenoides. Are you familiar with that?
Pityriasis lichen, yeah.
Yeah, and what do you normally suggest to treat that?
Adrenals.
Sorry?
Adrenals.
Adrenal? Yeah. Okay.
And watch out the histamines, yeah? Histamines can really aggravate.
Yeah, he hasn't been too bad, but yeah, sometimes it gets worse. Actually, wintertime you tend to notice it more when he's not in the sun. So really on his groin and on his abdomen, up on his neck, you tend to find that you get the little white dots.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Mm-hmm. The problem in winter, people put the heater and forget to drink water, and the skin dehydrates faster, and then people itch, and when you itch, you aggravate the skin condition.
Yeah, he's never itchy. It just looks like chicken pox, so he gets a bit self-conscious about it sometimes.
Yeah, but this is in general, not just for your condition.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
In general, in winter, skin conditions tend to aggravate because of that. Yeah. Because I get this a lot in the clinic. People come to me and say, oh, it gets worse in winter. That's the reason.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We've got Christy Brown. I would like to ask some questions. Christy?
Yeah, no, all good. I was asking about I'm not sure what the first word was, but the alba, which is the fungal where the skin changes colours, which ended up being a fungal one. So all good. Thanks, Marie, ended up covering that. Thank you.
And there's one called keratosis pilaris that a lot of people have that is also hormonal. The little kind of hard goosebumps kind of thing on the side of the shoulders and arms and legs. And that's also caused by hormonal changes. And it's when the little keratin builds up on top of the hair follicle. So for that is, a little dandruff wash, leave it for a few minutes, and then putting a topical ointment can help with zinc and minerals as well.
Fabulous. All right, Miss Melissa Hoare up there in Karratha. Hi, Mel, she's there.
Let me see. There's some people asking questions here.
Yeah, Mel, can you unmute yourself, bub? There she is. We can't hear you. We can see you, but we can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, that's perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Take my buds out. Yeah. Hey, Maria. Can I just ask about dry skin and it's like the upper torso of a child, and it's really just dry, and it does get itchy too, but it's not dermatitis, it's not eczema, and it's just really dry skin.
So dry skin can be caused by acid, by lack of fluid, by lack of omega-3s, and by lack of vitamins.
Okay, and what about if it just hit when you said about strawberries and capsicum, red capsicum, he loves to eat those two things.
So if anything gets red easily, it's a histaminic response. So there's a form of histaminic response. Sorry, my Siri is going here. I'm talking here and Siri is going there. So histaminic response, it can be, for example, hives that we didn't talk. So hives can be that suddenly the body gets red in certain areas and moves, depending on the day, goes here or there or here or there. That's also caused by hormones, yeah? But the histamine is definitely
Ah.
but
And that could make sense because he's 10. So, yeah, that could actually make sense, yeah.
but also, I was going to say something. I forgot. My brain at this time, I'm so tired. I'm so sorry. My brain is going on shutdown mode. What I was going to say about that? I was going to mention something else.
I have to send you a photo later, Maria, because I sent a photo of Byron going to bed listening to you and talking. He loved to listen to your voice tonight. Sorry.
Okay.
I'll send you a photo later. But I do put Elmi, is it Elmi oil on, and I dilute it with coconut oil when it is quite dry, and that seems to help.
Okay.
Am I saying it?
I can't comment LME, you're talking about LME.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, you froze.
That's okay. All right. Well, we might wrap it up.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria. I'll stop recording. Whoops. Whoops, I think we just froze, did we?
No, I think Maria's, oh, there we go. She's back.
Yeah, she must have. Cool. Maria, thank you so much, beautiful girl. I'm going to let you go because it's 8 o'clock. That was the most powerful 30 minutes of information. Did you not all just love that?
It was full on. So for people who don't understand, skin condition could be a bit complex, but I hope I give you a base anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to finish recording and then I'll stay on with the girls. So I'll